I was gone for 2 weeks for my military training, and during this period, there's a lot of flashbacks and all the memories suddenly flash back into my brain again, and that got me thinking, did the military service makes me more of a minimalist? But before that, let me have a quick explanation on how this mandatory national service works. For my global friends, similar to any countries with mandatory national service, by the time we reach a suitable age, the boys have to serve for a specific duration. And for Singapore, our national service is close to 2 years. However, even though I've completed it years ago, we still have to go back as a reservist for 10 cycles, which means approximately 2 weeks per year for the next 10 years. With that, let me bring you to the first phase, right before I enlisted to the army, and I call it forced minimalism. Maybe it's due to this inevitable obligation. This compulsory military service also pushed me to a state of letting go of things, and it could possibly be the start of my minimalism even without me knowing. And let me explain why. I've repeated this countless times, and I know you guys probably are bored of my story, but for the benefits of the new viewers, I still have to explain it. So, I was extremely obsessed with fashion before my national service, and I was one of those conspicuous consumers, buying things for the brand just to show others. However, this toxic mindset only came to a pause when I was enlisted. Since I'm in camp most of the time, I realized there's no need for me to care so much about fashion. So the army kinda acts as a distraction for me. It pulls me out of my obsession over fashion and materialism. A rehab center for my fashion addiction. And I'll say, signs were not made apparent to me that I'm hurting my mental health, my relationship, or finances, and not being aware of such effects. Military service and forced minimalism came in at the right time. The cold turkey experience actually made me realize that what I truly need to be happy is spend time with my loved ones and do things I truly value. And it's kinda similar to why I started minimalism and why I want to live an intentional life. And speaking about fashion, I've been wearing a uniform for most part of my student life. The reintroduction of uniform is very helpful in the army too. It kinda solves all the trouble of dressing to be unique. Some might see it as a con and think it's mundane, but nevertheless, as I'm getting older, I kinda prefer not having too much choices for my clothes. It significantly reduced the daily decision fatigue I always had in mind. The concept of travel minimally is another survival skills I learned from the army. It's vital to identify what are the essential equipment we need and then separate them from the wants and the comfort items. I'm not saying that comfort items are not important, but we have to weigh the pros and cons of having them. Put aside those essentials because they are uncompromisable. But when it comes to the comfort items, we have to put into consideration how long is the journey and how many days are we going to be out. Because there's a chance that those comfort items might pull us back during the mission due to the extra physical weight. Of course, removing the military context, we can apply it to our travel as well. I mean, there's so much benefits of packing light, but it's boring if we put it so literal. What I'm thinking is, this concept can be reflected in my minimalist lifestyle as well. The physical weight comes in the form of financial burden. We have to consider the pros and cons. Is it worth the monetary drawbacks just so I can enjoy the short-term happiness of buying something new? Does it really make me happy even when the financial weight is out of my capacity? So this mindset of traveling light also helps me today with living my life intentionally. During the whole journey of my military service, I've developed a skill of sleeping anywhere. That's a skill we need to adopt fast. And it wasn't that difficult when you are already exhausted by the daily activities. I probably wouldn't be able to sleep at those places now. But that got me realize that I'm actually fine with just a mattress without a frame. My criteria and expectation of my bed is kinda lowered by it, and it's fairly simple. As long as it's not a cold hard floor, I'm all good. And how is this minimalism? I guess it's just a skill for me to live without a bed frame. Nothing that amazing. Like all new recruits without prior knowledge of the military, I was culturally shocked by the army's regimentation. There were too many rules and regulations we are obligated to follow, and one of them is making our bed first thing in the morning. You might probably think that there's a weird connection between the military and a crispy clean bed. And many of us get to know this because of this speech.
Yes, but every morning we were required to make our bed to perfection.
And yes, exactly like what the speech said, as a soldier, we have to make our bed first thing in the morning. But the only difference was, I was forced to do it without knowing the purpose and rationale behind it. And one thing I learned from the army back in the days was to go with the flow and avoid trouble. But only until one day after I'm out of the service, I came across this video of Admiral William's speech. Then I realized the whole concept of making our beds in the morning is not just to keep it neat and tidy. It's also for us to create small wins and build the momentum of completing tasks. It's a remarkably simple first mission. What we are trying to achieve here is not a wrinkleless, neat bed, but it's about the action of shaping us into someone who is committed to what we do and do it great. Pretty inspiring. And that also got me realize that building a habit without a purpose is just me going through the motion. If only I knew the purpose when I was forced to do it, that would have made the process more enjoyable and meaningful. But of course, this habit is much more meaningful now after I realized how much space I need for my room. Once I'm awake, all the pillows are flushed and the mattress lifted just to have more space for me. Not to mention, having a bedroom workspace, I need to have a clear separation for work and sleep in order to prevent these two activities from crossing over at the wrong time. Similar to making the bed, it's also important for the soldier to keep their area neat and tidy. We need to know that there's always a certain space for specific equipment, and we wouldn't want to lose gears that are essential for the mission. That's why we need to have a system, a habit that puts things back to its original location after use. And for my personal life, putting things back to its respective place is the best way for me to curb my messy behavior, and I can be very messy. It helps to remove visual clutter and distraction that seems to bother me a lot. Another opportunity I had back then was digital detox. It was a good time for me to let go of my digital addiction, binge watching habit, and mindless scrolling. Because during the earlier days of our service, we weren't allowed to use our phones anywhere. And the only place we can use it was in our bunks, and we rarely have the time to rest in our bunks. There was even one period which was unforgettable for me. That's when I was having my overseas training, and all of our phones were confiscated for almost 2 weeks because they want us to focus on the training itself. And it's the longest time I lived without a phone ever since I got one. But come to think of it, other than the sadness of not being able to contact my loved ones during this tough period, it's a pretty stress-free experience. There's nothing for me to catch up, nothing for me to watch. So during that time, I just spent it appreciating the forest, observing weird animals, and when we have leisure time, then it's just me and a book I borrowed from my friend, Norwegian Wood. To be honest, I'm not sure if this experience will ever come back again. I mean, 2 weeks without technology is pretty much inconvenient. That's the reason why this digital detox memory is so vivid and priceless to me. Those are some points that are related to minimalism, and I think military service is the best time and place for me to cultivate habits. So I have a few honorable mentions. For example, being punctual, waking up early, exercising every day. There are habits I still do today, but I have to say, it's easy for a habit to stick when discipline is forced by regimentation. And I know not all of you will have the chance or want to serve in the military just to get those intentional habits. And in the real world, without anyone looking over our shoulder to take us accountable, we need more than self-discipline for a habit to stick. So, in order for me to understand more about how to let a habit stick, I'm currently halfway through a class by Thomas Frank, How to Build Habits That Last, using today's sponsor, Skillshare. And this class has all the steps you need to achieve that. It goes from determining your goals, to the use of external systems to keep you disciplined, and to tracking and reviewing your progress. So if you're interested, you can use the link at the description below, because Skillshare is offering 1,000 of you their free trial for their premium membership. And that gives you access not only for the habit class, but also thousands of classes. And they have wide varieties of topics ranging from creative skills to entrepreneurship. You can definitely find something that can up your skills there. And even after the free trial, Skillshare is really affordable with an annual subscription fee for less than $10 every month. I hope you make the full use out of it. So these are what I learned from the military, and some of them aligns with my minimalist lifestyle, Except for the equipments I have to keep just to go back once a year, they do take out a lot of space. Other than that, I'd still like to say this to those who have to serve mandatory service. Rather than thinking it's a waste of time, treat it like a lesson or an experience for you to grow. You can get so much value out of it just by tweaking your mindset about the service. If you enjoyed watching this, a click on the like button will help a lot with this YouTube algorithm. They are not helping me that much sharing my videos to like-minded people like you, so I really appreciate that. And if you are new here, I make videos on minimalism and self-development, so if you like that, you might consider subscribing to this channel. So thanks for watching this, and I shall see you guys again on the next one. By the way, I'm using this mic because my lavalier is down, so I don't know how you guys feel about it. This or the lavalier? Let me know down in the comment section. I'll see you guys again next week.